All right, what is up, my friends? Zendikar Rising, complete set review, constructed, limited. Every single card right now. You did white, we did blue. You missed those. They're on YouTube. Go watch them, of course. Now we're doing black, going in Wooburg order, and going over every single card. I'm going to tell you what's good, what's not good. And, of course, sponsors, coolstuffinc.com. Co-Apparel.shop. Go buy your Pile Driver shirt, promo code GYM10. BCW Supplies, promo code GYM10. Go get your gear. Cardboard Live, big thanks. CoolStuffInc.com. My Love Hate tomorrow article goes up tomorrow. Check that out. And we got early access next week. 10 new brews, all sorts of stuff. I'm pumped. You should be too. I gotta say, just quick level with me here. Magic's had it rough for the last few years. You know, been a little rough, a lot of bannings, things like that. When I watched the Zendikar preview video, I got pumped. I'm pretty stoked for Magic next year. Are you stoked? Are you not stoked? Let me know in chat. Let me know in the comments. I'm pumped up. Freaking Harry Potter set. D&D set. Let's go. Let's go. All right. Our next color is black. Black. Let's do this. Our first card, Acquisitions Expert. 2 mana for a 1/2. We got a party card here. To recap real fast, party's a new mechanic. It's all about tribal having 4 different types in play. Cleric, Rogue, Warrior, Wizard. You gotta have a party, you know? So a party card here, 1/2 Human Rogue. Comes into play, target opponent reveals a number of cards in their hand equal to the number of cards in your party. You choose one and they discard it. Now, by itself, this is a Ravenous Rat. With upside. Drum, resub, thanks so much. Or new sub, thank you. By itself, this is a Ravenous Rat, right? They choose one card and discard it, and it's a 1/2. It's also a Human Rogue, multiple relevant creature types, right? So that's pretty important. Also, unlike Freebooter, the card goes away forever. Also relevant, right? This card's good. Once you get another party member or 2 in here, now we're looking at kind of like a blackmail effect, which is pretty good. So disruption is very, very important for creature decks. You got to have some way to do things to your opponents so they don't wrath you or do whatever. I think this card's really good, honestly. I need to look at the creature types in humans and modern to think about that a little more. But this card can take lands. It can steal lands. Only ever discards 1, but can be good. So I like this card a lot. This is definitely a good start to your party deck or to your rogue deck. Definitely will see play constructed, I think, at some point. It's a Ravenous Rat if you have no other creatures, because they choose the one card they want to reveal to you, and then you choose the one card they revealed, so they choose. Good card, though. Good card. And limited, also good. I mean, you're partying more in limited. Party! And this card's good. I like it a lot. Oh, boy. Agadeem's Awakening. We have another one of our mythic flip lands here now. These flip spell lands, flip card. This is one side. This is the other. You can play a spell. You can play a land. All the non-mythic ones are tap lands. The mythic ones are bolt lands. So you can pay 3 life untapped or comes in tapped. Very low opportunity cost here. And this card's pretty good. Black, X. Return from your graveyard to the battlefield any number of target creature cards that have different mana costs, X or less. So this is basically Gruesome Menagerie for 6 mana instead of 5. And that card saw a little bit of play in Constructed. You could obviously scale it to your needs. That's really good. It's almost a playable card by itself. And then all other times, it's a land. So realistically, you play 6 games. In 5 of them, this is going to be a land. And then in the 6th, you're going to cast this card and probably win the game. That's really good. Now, there are a few counts against this. Only really works with cheap creatures. That's a slight downside. Other downside is, honestly, Castle Lochthwain. This card is a black land that has a good late game effect if you are flooded. Black kind of has that already. Castle Lochthwain means the mono black decks just never ever flood because you just keep drawing more spells and drawing more spells. So is there room for both? I mean, maybe. You know, some decks can't play Castle Lochthwain, although if you can't play Castle Lochthwain, you probably can't cast this card. So there's some competition there between Castle Locthwain and this. Castle Locthwain is really, really, really good. But this card's also really good. We're definitely not overrating Castle Locthwain. Castle Locthwain is busted. Is a really, really good card. So Agadeem's Awakening, also really good. This card's going to see a lot of play just because it's so easy to play. Very, very solid card. Again, still a little hard to parse how good these flip lands are, spell lands that actually playing with them because they're pretty weird. But yeah, definitely a card that's going to see play. And then I could definitely see a deck trying to do somewhat like Rally the Ancestors kind of stuff, playing this card as more of a focus as well. We will see. Definitely super, super cool card. A lot of power here. A lot of raw power for sure. Black Bloom Rogue, another flip spell land here. 3 mana for a 2/3 Menace, which is okay and limited. It gets +3/+0 as long as your opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard. So definitely a decent limited card. 8 cards is a lot, but again, a 2/3 is not that bad. And then again, the floor here is also just a land. So not going to see play constructed, which is not good enough. But this is a very solid draft card. It's a land, or it's a creature, but it's usually going to be good late in the game. So, resub, Zam, thanks so much.
Happy 13 months, Jim. Hyped for this set just to show people how good Wayward Pack Beast actually is.
Zam, resub, thanks so much. So yeah, it's a good draft card here for sure. Again, the whole thing about these flip cards is, for the tap lands, it's very important that your card is good early, a tap land, and good late. This card is definitely good late. So, good draft card. Good draft card. Blood Beckoning, 1 mana sorcery. Of course, Kicker is back in this set. It's a Raise Dead. Or, if you kick it, it's a double Raise Dead. So, it's an okay card. We've seen a lot of 3 mana return 2 creature cards that are like okay and very grindy decks. If you're playing a deck that trades a lot, sacrifices creatures, things like that, it's an okay draft card. Not a card you want a lot of. Raise Dead is not super exciting. If your deck has a lot of rares in it or a lot of good bomb creatures, sure, but just like kind of a filler limited card. Not super exciting. Kind of cool art though, honestly. Art's pretty sweet. Blood Chief's Thirst. Wow. An early best in show here in Blood Chief's Thirst. Of course, we do a best in show for every color. Best in show for black here. Blood Chief's Thirst. 1 black mana sorcery. Kicker 3. Kills a creature or planeswalker. Mana cost 2 or less. Take that, Renin 6. If you kick it, it just destroys it. So this card hits both sides pretty well. It's a disfigure against the aggro decks, which is good. And then, of course, it's a cheap spell. 1 mana. We can copy it with the blue new Snapcaster Mage. We can flash it back with Snapcaster Mage, like proper. It's a good cheap spell, which is good. And then if you are playing against a deck that's not playing small creatures, it's a slightly worse Hero's Downfall. Can kill a Planeswalker. It's not an instant, it's a sorcery. If this is an instant, we're talking like best card in the set, like by far. So Fatal Push, obviously better than this in a lot of capacities, but the fact that this kills Renin 6 really is big game in the older formats. In Modern especially, 1 mana card that can kill Renin 6 is awesome. So this card is definitely very, very powerful, very solid card. You'll also see a lot of play in Standard. Again, killing Planeswalkers is really important. And the big thing is, again, sort of like this, two-sided thing we keep talking about. You play Vraska's Contempt in your deck, and your opponent plays a Goblin Guide, and you're like, crap. Oh, man, I got to spend this 4 mana kill spell on this 1 drop. So it can do both. And that sort of flexibility is great, but it's also efficient when it needs to be. So this card's really, really good. It's obviously great and limited. Just a 4 mana kill spell is good and limited. So this card's obviously awesome and limited. And best in show for black. Just a really, really good card. Also very cool art. Very evocative, very cool colors. I like it. Finally, an answer to Tybalt Old School. So that's best in show for black. Let's move along here. It blew a little early here, Blood Price. 4 mana sorcery. This is your usual Sign in Blood kind of crappy card. Look at top 4, put 2 in your hand, rest in the bottom, you lose 2 life. I mean, these cards are not good. Tapping 4 on turn 4, not affect the board, and lose 2 life. Tempo Black Hole. I don't even like Read the Bones when this effect costs 3. Costing 4, dead. This card's, unless you're playing a real grindy limited deck, this card's pretty unplayable. Coveted Prize. 5 mana. This spell has affinity for party members. Again, that's Cleric, Rogue, Warrior, or Wizard. Search your library for a card, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. With a full party, you can cast a spell, mana cost 4 or less, without paying its mana cost. Now, this card's really weird, because typically demonic tutor effects are good in spell-based decks. We're playing a combo deck, we're playing a control deck, not a creature deck. We're tutoring in a creature deck for what? Now if it's some sort of like Rally the Ancestors creature combo deck, yeah, sure. But usually those decks focus more on value and kind of like just naturally accruing value and then winning later. Just don't think this card's very good. This card really needs you to have the entire party in play for it to be good. If this card ever costs more than 2, it's pretty unplayable. And in a deck playing party members like that. So don't like this card at all. It is really powerful. If there's some weird combo deck maybe at some point, the casting a spell for free is really good, but having a full party is just so difficult. So kind of a cool card. I think it's a pretty big miss though. The good party cards so far have been the ones that are still fine when you only have 1 or 2, and then really good when you have 4, and are cheap. And this card is neither. In limited, you get a bomb, you can play it. Sure, yeah, your Grim Tutor just costs 3 mana, right? Just play Grim Tutor if you need a tutor that bad. Deadly Alliance. Now, this is the perfect limited card, right? So, this is a 5 mana Hero's Downfall, 1 less for each party. So, this card's actually much better because in limited, it's just obviously great all the time. But constructed, it's not good enough. It's not worth playing over something like Bloodchief's Thirst. But at least we're getting there. With party, we're assuming that we're going to have 2 members in play on average. This is going to be about a Hero's Downfall. Constructed's going to be worse than that, but good draft card. Demon's Disciple, 3 mana for a 3/1. Comes into play, each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. So this is just a worse version of Plague Crafter, a card that I love. 1 top does a lot worse than 2. I love cards like this. They need a lot of things going on to be good. It is a cleric, and there are cleric sacrifice effects, which we'll see. This card could definitely see play. It's definitely solid, but it needs a deck. This is definitely a synergy piece, not a raw power good card. If we're sacrificing for value, sacrificing clerics for value, that's good. So, Rotlung Reanimator. Let's go. Old school. And then limited, a fine card. It's okay. It's a weird edict. What's all the pink stuff? I don't know. I ain't no artist, or I just read the cards. So, Playcrafter is rotating. I do love Playcrafter. I play a lot of Playcrafters in my life. That card's cool. Drana Silencer, 6 mana for a 3/2. Comes into play, give a creature -1, -X for each party member. So, again, baseline -1, -1. This is your top end draft card, similar to Blight Breath Ceratops or whatever it was. Not a bad curve topper in limited. A little expensive, but if this kills a creature, you've gotten decent value. It's an okay draft card. Tiny flavor text. Hush. Drana, the Last Blood Chief. 5 mana, 4/4 flying legend vampire cleric. So, two relevant creature types there. 4/4 flyer. Okay on the base stats. Whenever it attacks, defending player chooses a non-legendary creature card in your graveyard. Comes back to play with a counter on it. It's also a vampire. This card does not work. Your 5 mana creature it needs to be able to do something without attacking first. This is kind of a fun casual card, but this card's going to make no waves in constructed at all. Just not playable. You can't have to wait till combat to get a minor convenience back. You might get a 2/2 or something. So busted and limited, total bomb, but pretty weak card in constructed overall. Not going to see this one at the constructed tables for sure. Dreadworm, 5 mana for a 5/4. Landfall, indestructible. Super good top end card. In limited. This is the kind of card where it's beefy, and when you're flooding, it's really, really good. This is a 5/4 indestructible attacker every turn. That's insane. That's just awesome. So great 5-drop unlimited. Not going to play everyone you draft if you get 5 of them, but definitely a house in limited. And again, it makes those late land drops not feel so bad. So super, super housey. Expedition Sulker, 2 mana for a 2/2 with Death Touch if you have a rogue or another rogue. It's a fine 2-drop unlimited. Death Touch is very good. Boot Nipper was a very good card in Ikoria draft. So solid 2-drop, just a filler 2-drop card. Feed the Swarm, 2 mana. This is a weird card. This is a really weird card. For all you folks who've been waiting for 25 years to kill an enchantment, all my mono black players,
gentlemen, behold!
Feed the Swarm. You can kill an enchantment. Color Pie. As a Color Pie break, I wouldn't like this, but I think as a Color Pie shift, if black's going to move into being the third color that can kill an enchantment for like a detrimental loss, I'm cool with that. It's 2 mana. The kill creature card makes it much more palatable as far as like just playing the card. This is not going to be a great card in limited. It's fine, but not great. And if your constructed deck needs to kill an enchantment, this can do it. Does exile. Goodbye Heliod. So this is a card. This is a card mostly notable because it does something black's never done before. So definitely could see play in weird spots because if you're playing Legacy and you got to kill a ley line or something, it does it. It does it. Ghastly Gloom Hunter. 2 mana for a 1/1 flying lifelink. So kind of below the curve a little bit. But if you kick it for 4, you get a 3/3 flying lifelink for 6 mana, which isn't bad. It's an okay draft card. There are +1/+1 synergy cards in the set. Good vessel for those. Good vessel for equipment. There's equipment in the set as well. So definitely decent draft card. Going to want some help in some way, but if you have help, it will be pretty solid. Pretty solid. Ghoul-Draz Mucklord. Just a freaking metal name. 3 mana for a 2/3. When it dies, put a counter on a creature you control. There you go. So it dies, put a counter on the bat. Now you got a good card, Okay, limited card. Body's not super relevant. Ability's okay. It's okay. Oh, you're right. It doesn't exile. I'm sorry. I misread the card. This card does not exile. Your Heliod's safe. I apologize. I am occasionally illiterate. So yeah, +1/+1 counter synergy here for sure, but not a very exciting card. It's okay. It's just okay. Hagra Constrictor. 3 mana for a 0/0. Comes into play with 2 ++++++. Well, I talk a lot. We trip a little bit. Woof. We're 2+ hours of talking. Let's keep going here. We can do this.
Make a little noise here, huh?
We're okay. Here we go. Let's go. Hagra Constrictor. So it comes into play with 2 +1/+1 counters. Get it together. Each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it as a menace. So by itself, it's 2/2 menace for 3. Okay. Again, synergy card for draft. If your draft deck has a lot of counters in it, it'll work. It'll work. Wooburg Order. We did white and blue so far. Stay tuned. Anything you missed will be on YouTube tomorrow morning early. So fine draft card, Hagra Mauling. Now, this is a pretty interesting one. We have another spell land here. Of course, it's tap land. It's a rare. Black, 2. Kill a creature. Instant. Spell cost 1 less to cast if your opponent has no basic lands. So, that's a decent amount of a time. This is going to be a murder. The problem is when it's not. 4 mana to kill a creature is pretty bad. This card's like teetering the brink here because as a tap land, it has some value, obviously. When it's not good, it can be a land, but it's not super efficient. It's an instant. There just feels like there's better options in a lot of ways. I agree. This does fit the criteria for good early, good late. I'm just not super impressed with this card. I know this card is good. This card is probably fine. I think this card isn't as good as you think it is. Yes, you, on average. It's fine. Could be a role player. there's a lot of basic lands in Standard, honestly. And the thing is that the decks playing basic lands are usually playing more creatures. So it's going to cost 4. A lot of the times you need it to cost less. I just don't think this card's that great, honestly. I think it's fine. It's obviously not bad, but in limited, it's obviously phenomenal. But it just not really hitting either side super well. Not about it. Heard here first, folks. Highborn Vampire. It's a vanilla creature. It's a curve filler, limited. Inscription of Ruin. This card was spoiled as an instant, and everyone got really excited. It's a sorcery. So, same thing with the inscription. It's a kicker spell. 3 mana for a Mind Rot. Return creature 2 or less. Or kill creature 3 or less. So it's Smother, Claim, or Mind Rot. Not bad. It's not bad for a 3 mana spell. Mind Rot is honestly closer to playable than you think it is. It's seen play before in Constructed. Returning or claiming for 3 mana is not very good. Killing a creature for 3 mana it's okay. Kicking it is obviously okay, but I don't know what deck you'd possibly play in Constructed that would kick this and have all the criteria met. So it's an okay draft card. It's fine. It's good. I'm sorry. It's an actively good draft card, but not really ever seeing this play. This card see play in Constructed. Myrot was playable in Bloodbraid Elf Standard as an addition to Blightning. Decks in that format were very cardboard light, but resource heavy. So, Lithoform Blight. 2 mana, enchanted land, comes into play, draw card. So super low opportunity cost. And enchanted land loses all types and abilities and taps for a colorless or pay a life. So it becomes Grand Coliseum. So a cantripping enchantment that makes the land into Grand Coliseum. So this card feels much more relevant in older formats where we can target Urza's Tower or, Valakut, things like that. The land does have, the land loses all types. So, but it adds all colors. Yeah, it kills Utopia Sprawl, but it's true. So this is definitely a card you might see play in Modern if you're playing a black deck and you want to help your Tron matchup. I mean, Spreading Seas is really good. 2 mana cantrip to kill a land, basically, or like remove the utility from a land is pretty good. This card will see a lot of play. Not a lot, but a decent amount of play in Modern and things like that. Against Valakut, it makes it lose all its abilities. Enchanted land loses all land types and abilities. Turns Valakut into a Grand Coliseum. So, definitely a very solid card. Not going to matter in Constructed, but definitely a card in older formats for sure. That's pretty cool too. Good Yori and Flicker target. So that could be a reason to play this card. It is also a mana fixer. I mean, you can target your own lands, so this card is going to see a lot more play than it looks like. Of every card in black in this set, this card is probably going to be like 10 years from now, like the 5th most played card in black of this entire set. So Stop Dark Depths. Yeah, it turns it into a Grand Coliseum with ice counters on it. So pretty good card. Pretty cool card. Malakir Blood Priest. I think this card's pretty good. It's a 2/1 for 2, so not great. Vampire Cleric, 2 relevant creature types. Comes into play, you drain for your party. By itself, it always drains 1. If it drains 2 or 3, that's pretty good. That's not great. It's it's low impact, but similar to Sword Smitten Brute or whatever, the adventure card. But good draft card. Yeah, Smitten Swordmaster, that's the one. I think this card's a little better than it looks. Malakar Rebirth. 1 mana instant. Choose a creature. Lose 2 life. Till end of turn, when that creature dies, it comes back. Definitely a pretty narrow effect that can be good sometimes. Sort of we have the land and then the narrow effect. These effects aren't great. If your opponent wraths, you can save your creature. This is like a bad God's Willing kind of. It will re-trigger your enters the battlefield effects and things like that, death effects. You can use it for when you sacrifice stuff. But yeah, if this card's close to be a Channel Pyromancer, that's very fair. Very fair. But yeah, this card, it doesn't seem like it does enough. Just not really super thrilled about it, honestly. In limited, it's okay. Just like, doesn't really give you much more than what you already have. So the art is cool though. I agree, the art is pretty cool. Marauding Blight Priest, 3 mana for a 3/2. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. Solid card. There's definitely a solid life gain theme for limited in the set, so definitely fits that theme well if you're drafting that deck. Mind Carver and equipment. Again, all equipment in this set auto equips when you first play it. So cost 1 black, comes in and attaches. Creature gets +1/+0. If your opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard, it gets +3/+1, and the equip is 3. Again, don't think this 8 cards or more mechanic is going to be super great and constructed. And then limited, it's okay. It's okay. You know, this card's just like fine. It's cheap. But not super excited about it in most scenarios. Mind Drain, an actual Mind Rot. So just 3 mana, Mind Rot, but they also mill a card, lose a life, and you gain a life. Again, Mind Rot has seen play constructed. This is not outside of the realm possibility. There's a little more upside too. So it's a card. Limited. Some decks want Mind Rot and limited. There you go. So definitely a card. Oh boy. Nighthawk Scavenger. I mean, this card pisses me off. All right. This card pisses me off. Why's it got to be +1? Could it be any uglier? Like, Vampire Nighthawk it's not a great card, but it's a passable card for sure. In constructed, real good limited card, obviously. It's not that far off though. This card, if it was just star, not +1 star, would be better than Nighthawk almost always. It's the +1. I don't know. It's just me. It's just so ugly, you know. And this card is just going to be a 5/3 lifelink flyer a lot of the time. Doesn't really feel unnecessary. It doesn't feel necessary to me. This card's really, really good. It dies to bolt and things like that in older formats, but this card is just honestly going to be, for the most part, a 3 mana Baneslayer Angel a lot of the time. I get it. It always has 1 power, so Death Touch always does something. God forbid our Magic cards had a drawback these days. You know, you got to put a little work in. You know, you can still cast the 0/3. It's not like it's going to die, you know. So yeah, this card is really, really pushed on rate. It's just your typical 2020 Magic card. Super, super pushed. Again, it's not going to be hard for this card to be a 3/3 or 4/3. That's even without just milling your opponent. You're just like playing Magic. But yeah, super pushed. This card's not insane. It does just die to kill spells, you know, but it's cheap. Doesn't have first strike. Yeah, I mean, it costs 3, not 5. It's a big difference between 3 and 5, you know? So, super there on rate. This is the kind of card that also the control deck can bring in against the aggro decks and just crush them. So, it's basically as a mini Baneslayer Angel. Card's really, really good. And then limited, the card's just unreal. Vampire Nighthawk was like a top 5 card in the entire set in the original Zendikar Unlimited. And it was an uncommon. So this card is just... Nima Skittersnake. 4 mana for a 3/4. Proponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard. Gets +1/+0 and Menace. Just a curve filler. In limited. Don't want to play it. You can play it. Costs 4. Decent body. Skydancer. 3 mana for a 2/1 flying flash. Comes into play. Mills 2 cards. Pretty good little enabler, honestly. 2/1 flash flyer for 3 is basically there on rate anyway. Milling card, certainly reasonable. Decent limited card. It's also a rogue. You can also up your party things at instant speed, which is kind of cool. So if you have party effects in play, they can be altered quickly, which is kind of cool. So it's cool. It's a cool card. Null Priest of Oblivion. This card's really, really good. Talks about pushed on rate. 2 mana for a 2/1 Menace lifelink in 2 good creature types is already almost there. And then this thing can kicker to zombify. So 6 mana, you get a 2/1 lifelink, and you can reanimate any creature. This card is just really, really good. This card is just rate all day, every day. It's good on turn 2, good on turn 6. Menace lifelink is good. Like, Child of Night is not a bad Magic card. Like, 1 or 2 hits at the lifelinker gaining 4 life's a big deal. You know, good against red decks. It's good against long-term decks. The card is really, really good. Busted and limited. Good constructed card. Good cube card. Just good. Just good Magic card. That's all I gotta say. It's just good. What more can you say? Oblivion's Hunger, 2 mana for an instant. Target creature gets indestructible on a turn. Draw a card if the creature had a +1/+1 counter on it. Total synergy card here. If you're playing the +1/+1 counter deck in limited, this card's awesome. 2 mana trick that draws you a card, phenomenal. If you're not drawing a card, this card's pretty underwhelming. So yeah, real simple. If you're playing limited and you have counters in your deck, it's fine. Definitely a little weird for a black card. I do agree. Indestructible and drawing cards and +1/+1 counters. But what are you gonna do? Palaka Predation. 3 mana for a sorcery. It's coercion. So look at their hand. Take a card. Mana cost 3 or greater. They discard the card. So I'm sorry. It's a narrower coercion. This kind of fits the bill of our two-sided coin here, where early on, just a land, you just play your land, and then later on, you can take a large thing, take their Planeswalker, take Elspeth Conqueror's Death. It isn't good when their hand is empty because you can't cycle it or whatever, but this card could definitely see play. Coercion is not great. 3 is a lot for the fact we do have Agonizing Remorse in the format, but this card definitely could see play. The sides are there. Both sides are reasonable, so definitely a reasonable card. This card's okay in limited. Can take their bomb to land, low opportunity cost. It's definitely a fine limited card too. I could buy it. Like Memory League was kind of fine in limited. Scion of a Swarm, 5 mana for a 3/3 flyer, which is fine. If you gain life, put a counter on it. So basically a flying red bannered Ajani's Primate. So great draft card, unplayable and limited. Even without synergy, this card's fine and limited, but with synergy, it's going to be really, really, really good. I don't know why there's insects here. I agree. I don't know what. I guess the insects are supposed to be like the +1/+1 counters, like a flavor thing. Scourge of a Skyclaves. I don't get this card. People want to do math. I don't want to do math. 2 mana Star. It's a demon. Its power and toughness is equal to 20 minus the highest life total among players. So each player is a 20. It's a 0/0. One player is a 20. It's a 0/0. So if you're playing a beatdown deck and you're not hurting yourself, you can't cast it because you're still a 20. If you're racing, it's really good because it could be a 5/5 or so on and so forth. As such, it could be really big. I feel like this card might just be like actually pretty good, but it is just really weird and hard to make work. Then it has kicker for 5. Each player loses half their life, which guarantees it'll at least work. There's a lot of power here. This can be a really, really large creature, really, really fast, similar to Death Shadow. Doesn't require you to be as all in as Death Shadow because it's just like, a 7/7. This card can't kill an opponent at 1 hit points. You got to hurt yourself, but of course we have the new Lightning Bolt land, the new Black Mythic land, to bolt us, so we can do that too. Harmagoyf, yeah. Yeah, I think this card is a lot better than it looks, but this is the kind of card that you need to see it in play before you can ever parse it. I think Good Demonic Embrace, that's a good one. I think this card's really good. I just don't know what you want to do with it yet, but I think that as far as assessing raw power, this card has a lot of raw power. That's all I got on this one. Got to see it in play. Not really sure. Shadow Stinger, 1/4 for 3. Tap a rogue, gets Death Touch, does combat damage to a player, mill 3 cards. Solid draft card. Good way to put some cards in the graveyard. Good blocker. Just a solid draft card. It's fine. The tapping a rogue thing on defense is fine because you can block, and then tap and give it Death Touch. So better than the blue one by a lot. Also costs 3. So Shadow's Verdict. 5 mana for sorcery. Exile all creatures and planeswalkers. Mana cost 3 or less from the battlefield and from the graveyard. So this is like the anti-Euro, anti-Oko card. A little late on one of those, but this card's fine. 5 mana is a lot for Ritual of Soot. So they're going to play their 4-drop, and then you're going to cast this and still have to deal with their 4-drop, which kind of sucks. But obviously, pretty powerful. Exiling Graveyards is good. Exiling Planeswalkers is good. Hits Jace, which is kind of funny. So definitely, it's a solid role player. Probably going to be similar to how good Ritual of Soot was. Maybe a little bit better, but it's decent. The Lurrus hate card, yeah, for sure. And in draft, you can work this card. It's not going to be as good as you want it to be in draft, but it's certainly fine. Skyclave Shade, this card is really, really good. We have a 3/1 for 2, can't block. Sure. If it was kicked, comes into play as a 5/3, still can't block. Sure. Landfall, if you landfall and this card's in your graveyard, you can cast it. Yeah. This is like Bloodghast on steroids. Bloodghast, Scrappy Scrounger, cut from the same cloth. Real solid card here. This is going to give controlled X fits. Can't block, obviously. It's not as good when you're on the defensive, but if you're aggressive, you're in good shape. Yeah, Scavenging Ooze is going to have some work to do to deal with Skyclave Shade here. Real good card. Very good and limited, obviously, as well. Just really solid rare for sure. Landfall only on your turn. Well, yeah, I mean, you don't have lands coming to play on your opponent's turn that often. Skyclave Shadow Cat, 4 mana, 4/3/3. Stat creature, put a counter on it. Whenever a creature you control, the counter on it dies, draw a card. Super solid archetypical super solid archetype uncommon for the +1/+1 counter deck. Just really solid. Can't play it constructed, but solid card. Soul Shatter, instant, 3 mana. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker at the highest mana cost among creatures and planeswalkers they control. It's okay. We've seen this before in I forgot what it was called. Similar card, but it's okay. Obviously, it's an edict effect and it can hit hexproof things. It gives your opponent the choice. It's not always great. It's okay. Kills the biggest thing. It's just like not always gonna do what you want it to do. It's fine. It's fine. Pretty cool art for sure. If you kill a planeswalker, it probably already got some value. It's just an okay card. It's bad against people going wide. So, And then limited, this card's very, very good, obviously. Just trades with their biggest thing. So, Subtle Strike, 2 mana. Choose one or both. -1/-1 in a turn. +1/+1 counter. It's an okay limited trick. Possible 2 for 1. So we'll take it. You have a Delirium one is what I'm talking about for sure. Just a fine limited trick. Don't want too many of these, but kind of cute. Tarbarok's Hope's Desire, 3 mana for a 2/2 flyer. Has lifelink as long as it has 5 or more counters on it. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Tabrax. That creature is a cleric. You may draw a card if you do lose 1 life. This card's good. If there's like a cleric aristocrat deck, this card is real good. This is a flying Midnight Reaper that's also going to get big and kill your opponent. It's kind of like Tyrus Tracker for a cleric sacrifice deck. Much more specific, obviously, but it grows, it draws cards, it flies, it can win the game. Definitely a super solid card. Like this one a lot. Not sure if there'll be like an aristocracy cleric deck, but if there is, oh boy, this card's going to be real good in it. And then limited, obviously, this card's phenomenal. Just a 2/2 flyer over 3 with upside. So, Thwart the Grave. We have Affinity for Party once again. This card's pretty interesting. 6 mana sorcery, gonna cost less than that usually. And return target creature card and up to 1 cleric, rogue, warrior, or wizard from your graveyard to the battlefield. So, Happily Ever After? No. What was that card called? Ever After, right? Ever After was the sorcerer that did this. It was a rare 6 mana double zombify. At worst, this is that. At best, this could be 3 mana, 4 mana. The thing is that I'm not sure what you're reanimating in your party deck. So this is a very weird card. Under the right circumstances, this card could be very good. but it is weird. It's definitely a weird card for sure. There are certainly other graveyard things you can do. This card also competes with the mythic black spell land as the expensive big reanimation spell. It's cute. Gets back to Agent of Treacheries. F in chat for Agent of Treachery, please. So, kind of cute. Decent card. And then in limited, seems pretty good as well. So, Vanquish the Weak. Just a limited kill spell. It's fine. It's not great. You'll play it, but... Zoff Consumption. 6 mana. Deal 4, gain 4. Flip land. This is the kind of card you want out of your flip cards, honestly. Good early, good late. I think this is a great draft card. Great draft card. Swings the game when you're flooded. To land early otherwise. I think this card is pretty sweet. Really, really gross art. Just gross. But I think this is a really good flip card. Real good flip card here for limited. And that's it. From A to Z. Black, Zendikar Rising, complete set review. We got more colors to do. That's it for Black, folks. YouTube folks, like, comment, subscribe, hit the buttons. Let me know what your favorite Black card is in the set. Is my best in show your best in show? Am I wrong? I'm okay being wrong. I don't got a problem. I'm wrong all the time. It's fine. I'm not, no qualms. So YouTube folks, like, comment, subscribe. And Twitch folks, make sure you follow, of course. And we'll see you in the next video, YouTube, all right? YouTube, Red's coming up.